Well, we are at the halfway point of the year of 2022. It's been a busy year so far for the Switch. Lots of game releases so far. So before we go jumping into the second half of the calendar year, I figured it'd be a good time to reflect on what has been some of my favorite games released so far for the Nintendo Switch in 2022. I have about 10 games to talk about, plus some DLC stuffs I want to talk about as well. I got some thoughts on those too. While you are watching, feel free to post down below what has been your favorite games released so far for the Switch in 2022. I am pretty curious to see what those might be. Anyway, I got a lot to talk about today, so without any further ado, hang on, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I do some gaming reflection on the year so far for the Nintendo Switch. So one thing I've absolutely loved is that the Switch has been home to some awesome revivals and retro-style games. We've seen revivals of franchises we never thought would happen, awesome game collections featuring rare titles, and some awesome retro-inspired games. You'll see what I mean with the first 3 games I'm going to talk about today. I was almost certain I was daydreaming when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge was announced. A revival of the TMNT classic beat-em-up that quite possibly might be the best entry ever. Who really thought that would ever happen? But here we are, it's real, and Tribute Games has delivered. This game is so much fun, such a joy to play. Lots of moves, a big pool of characters to choose from, well, bigger than most beat-em-ups anyway. The gameplay is spot on, there's lots of fun stages, lots of callbacks to the TMNT 1987 animated series too. Plus 6-player online multiplayer, that is the cherry on top. It's insane when you get a lobby of 6 people together, it's such a blast. This is speaking from a viewpoint of a player who's played a lot of beat-em-up games over the years. This is one of the best beat-em-ups ever. Simply put, make sure to play it if you haven't had the chance yet. Capcom Fighting Collection feels like another dream come true. I'm a huge Darkstalkers fan, and it always seemed like Capcom had never had consistent faith to really put these games out there for newer gamers to experience, or like myself, an older gamer, to experience them on modern platforms. So to see a collection that has the first 5 arcade entries, with 2 of them being ones we never got in the States, and a physical collection too, it blows my mind. Plus you get games like Cyberbots and Red Earth. For Red Earth, we have never seen a console port before, so that is huge in itself for a fighting game fan. This collection is noteworthy just on what it has. That said, its features help to polish the collection. It has both the English and Japanese versions of each game where it can, with the later 2 Darkstalkers games being Japanese only, as they were only released in Japan. It also features everything you loved about the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, like excellent button mapping, museum goodies, visual settings, and other neat stuffs. It's just been so much fun to experience these classic games, plus some new ones, and have them in a collection. This is excellent. So far there's been a retro revival, and an awesome game collection. Well, it's time for the trifecta, right? Time for some retro-inspired goodness. How about one where it takes a beloved gameplay style and adds its own spin, plus maybe featuring a franchise who hasn't seen a new console game in years? Enter Record of Lodoss War, Deedlit, and Wonder Labyrinth, a game that takes the famous license and plays like a loving tribute to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It looks amazing, and it is amazing to play and explore. Deedlit has loads of attacks at her disposal, including held weapons, her trusty bow, and loads of magic attacks. Players who really make use of this will do some crazy stuff in this game. My only regret with this game is that it's a little bit short. Still, it's super sweet for the time you play. If you love Metroidvanias, then you really need to play this one. I delved into a full review on the channel. I'll have links to it down below and at the end of this video for those who want to check it out. Okay, so enough of the retro stuff for now. Let's talk about the other games that I loved playing so far on the Switch in 2022. So 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is not a new game. It came out for the PS4 in North America in 2020. The Switch, though, finally got a port of the game this year. That said, I love this game. The story is trippy as heck. For those who really want to play, try not to look up stuff for this game. You don't want the story to be spoiled. All I'll say is that the story basically consists of 13 high school students in a 1980s Japan who find themselves in a war against kaiju monsters. Trust me, there's some more crazy stuff that goes on. It's pretty insane. It's crazy, but it's good. It's been such a good time playing this game and discovering the story. It's good. It's really, really good. It is a visual novel / side-scrolling adventure game with RTS real-time strategy battles. The Switch version looks just as good as the PS4 version, so if you're worried about performance stuff, you got nothing to worry about. This is a game I want to review at some point on the channel. Admittedly, I did get a review copy from Sega, but I got it almost 2 weeks after the release, so yeah, oops. But trust me though, in the meantime, it is an awesome game. It's such a blast and absolutely worth playing. The Atelier games have always had an interesting premise. Generally, they are RPGs, usually with turn-based combat, but that has never been really the main focus. It has always shared the spotlight with the alchemy, finding and obtaining items, and combining them in recipes to get better items and gear, and or advance the gameplay story. They are also usually lighthearted in tone. I appreciate these games. It's a nice different pace compared to loads of the super serious RPG games that are out there. That said, Sophie 2 might be the best one in the series I've played so far. The alchemy system here is easy to understand and use, and the combat is fluid and faster than ever, and just as fun to play as the rest of the game. It is a quality JRPG title. The Switch version is pretty nice. There's a couple of things Koei Tecmo had to do to make it work on the system, but it still looks pretty, and the performance is generally pretty good. I did do a review of sorts on this one. I'll put a link to that one in the comments down below if you want to check it out. Longtime viewers know I love me some shoot 'em ups. I've played a ton over the years, from the 80s classics to modern entries. Speaking of modern entries, Cotton Fantasy is one of the best ones I've played. It retains a lot of the classic Cotton series feel, but makes sure to add a lot of replayability. There's a ton of levels, each with a different theme, plus loads of different characters who all play differently from each other to experience. On top of this, you choose your own path. Aside from a few levels, your stage order is up to you. Again, lots of replayability in this one. It's $39.99, yes, a bit higher than most shoot 'em ups, but Cotton Fantasy has delivered for me, and I love this game. One of the best new shoot 'em ups I've played in a long time. I did a full review of this one. A link to that one will be in the comments down below. So this next game, I will say, well, I've had a lot of fun playing it. When the final list of my favorite games of 2022 for the Switch does come out later this year, this will probably not make the list. Not because it's bad, of course not. It wouldn't be on this list if that was true. It's just competition-wise, I think it's going to be tough for this one to make that list. That said, Fall Guys has been fun. I have been playing it nearly every day for at least a little bit ever since it came out last month. It's free to play, which is a huge plus. It means anyone can get it. It also has cross-play and cross-progression, which is something I think more third-party games need to have. The Switch version is fine for the most part. It does have some hiccups. Menu performance has been a little bit slow on startup, and there's a couple tricks they had to do to make it work proper on the Switch. But that said, it's a good way to play if you want to play on the go. I got a video on my thoughts on the game too if you're curious to see that. Link will be in the comments down below and at the end of this video. Before we continue on with the last 3 games, I do want to talk about a pair of DLC expansions that I've loved so far in 2022. The first one being Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Now this came out less than a week ago at the time of this recording, but holy cow, what an expansion. There's so much cool stuff, awesome new fights, and monsters and areas to discover. If you love Monster Hunter Rise, then you need this expansion. It's $40, but it feels like a full-fledged game with all the stuff to do. Plus, you know that Capcom is going to support it with updates as well. So with all the endgame stuff and the missions and the updates, this will last a long time. The other DLC expansion that I've liked so far is the Booster Course Pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now when it's all said and done, it'll have 48 remastered courses for this pass. For now, we just got the first wave with 8 courses, and for the most part, they have been fun to play. Look, I'm just happy to have a reason to play more Mario Kart, and being able to get a bunch of courses for super cheap is really nice. $25 is really nothing compared to the number of courses. I just hope we get some new courses soon, and that we don't have to wait too long for the next wave. Alright, continuing on with the games, the next one, when I got to play it this year, I went on a serious gaming binge. Pokemon Legends Arceus was a game that I was cautiously optimistic of. I mean, prior to launch, we knew it was going to be different from other Pokemon RPGs. It's just we didn't really know if the final product would be a good different. That said, those differences might be the reason I got so hooked. I love the changes to the formula. There's a heavy emphasis on catching, and catching a lot. Instead of battling like normal, it's just more fun to hide and swoop in and throw Pokeballs to hopefully get your prize. It's simple but effective. As for the battles, being able to move around in battle is a neat touch too. There's a lot of other nice changes this game has, but for brevity's sake, it's just better to watch my review I did on the game. Link to that will be in the comments. I got hooked and loved what I experienced so much, and put over 100 hours quickly in the first couple weeks while playing this game. This is the most I've ever been hooked on a Pokemon game since, I'd say Gen 2 really. It is that good. Much like 13 Sentinels, Wreckfest isn't a new game per se. It's been out on other platforms for a while, and recently just came out for the Switch. What makes this different though, is obviously there's a lot more going on here, visually compared to the 13 Sentinels port. Wreckfest on Switch really surprised me. Looks really impressive for a game that is a bit demanding with its engine. There's a lot to account for with the number of cars, damage physics, and the environmental damage, but the Switch version performs like a champ. It's on top of the fact that the game is a fun as heck destruction derby game. It's zany, often hilarious, with loads of racing and online multiplayer too. It's a worthy buy for the Switch, especially at its $40 price point. I'm really happy with this version. And of course, the review for this one will be in the comments down below as well, so check that out. Now, all the games in today's list have been in no particular order in terms of rating or whatnot, but I can say that this final game might be my favorite so far in 2022. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the first 3D entry in the mainline Kirby series, delivered the goods. It is an excellent Kirby game, one of the best, if not the best one, and one of the better 3D platformers on the system. This game is such a joy. The game is happiness in video game form. The new forms that Kirby can take on, like becoming a car Kirby and vending machine Kirby, are hilarious, but they are placed well throughout the game and are fun to use. It has great level design too. Who knew the classic Kirby formula could work so well in 3D? In short, HAL Laboratories and Nintendo put out an excellent game. It is one that after I was done playing and completed it 100%, I felt really satisfied. Like really satisfied. It's just everything done well while taking an existing franchise for the first time from 2D to 3D. They nailed it. I really can't think of any issues I had with the game off the top of my head. Like if I dug deeper, maybe, but really, this just speaks to how excellent the game is. It is that dang good. Anyway, that's my thoughts on my favorite Nintendo Switch games from the first half of 2022. I wonder how many of these will make it to the final list at the end of the year. I mean, there is a lot more games coming out, so there is going to be some competition for sure. For now, I'm curious to see what your favorite games of 2022 have been so far. Make sure to post those in the comments down below. I am really excited to see what everyone has liked so far that has come out this year. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss a single video. Just a reminder, links to all the reviews mentioned today will be in the comments down below, as well as some of them at the end of this video. That's all I have for today. Make sure to play some video games. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.